The finale of Fortnite Chapter 6 just kind of got leaked earlier this morning with a brand new update, and the stuff that was revealed kind of changes everything and makes this event look like it's going to be much better than anyone could have imagined. Now, the final update of Chapter 6 just dropped earlier this morning. If you didn't know, it wasn't anything big, just added some files for the finale event, which means the hype is about to skyrocket, with the event only being about 10 days away. If you guys don't know, this is going to be our first big, fully story-driven live event in Fortnite since Chapter 3 with Collision, which is absolutely insane, and people are already kind of freaking out about what was discovered today because this stuff is absolutely massive. After today's leaks, we've learned a lot more about what's coming, including some of the craziest storyline connections that we have seen in a long time, some of them actually going all the way back to the storyline's peak back in Chapter 1. The hype is already insane, you guys, but what's even crazier is that Fortnite hasn't officially said anything about this event yet, and like I said, it's only in a little over a week, which is kind of weird. But before we go any further, you guys, this is a massive warning. I'm going to be talking about a ton of spoilers in this video, so click off now if you want to go in completely blind. It's nothing absolutely crazy, but there is some spoilers in this video, so be warned. Now, what exactly came out in this update today? What do we know so far? Now, based on the files, people are starting to call this event the Spirit Realm Siege, but that is not the official name. Epic hasn't confirmed it yet. Of course, when they give an announcement, we will probably know the official date, time, as well as the name of this event, but Spirit Realm Siege does sound pretty sick. Of course, if you don't know, that's very fitting because it seems like we're going to be going into the Spirit Realm based on this loading screen right here. That's the only tease that we have of this event. It looks like we're going to be going into the Spirit Realm to try to siege back, the 0 point shard that the Dark Presence has. The entirety of Chapter 6 has been building up to this, which makes it much more exciting. Now, one of the craziest things we learned about in this update is that it seems like this event is going to bring together a ton of classic elements and even some stuff that we really don't know much about yet, including the tentacle returning from the end of Season 3 event, which is pretty awesome. A lot of people have kind of theorized that that's a part of the Dark Presence. The Portal Rift Gun is possibly going to be involved again, which is insane. Reality trees from Chapter 3, Season 3, UFOs from Chapter 2, Season 4, and kind of Season 8, and a bunch of Zero Crisis references are in there throughout as well. Now, I know that a lot of these things may not sound like a big deal to you. The Rift Gun, Reality Trees, UFOs, who actually cares? But these are really big, and they're giving us some hints to not only what we could be seeing in this event, but what we could be seeing throughout Chapter 7 and for the storyline going forward. First off, you guys, the Rift Gun returning is a huge deal. Now, we haven't seen this since Chapter 2, Season 6, when Jones used it to call the Foundation to the island. That alone kind of ties this event straight back to one of the biggest storyline moments ever, when we finally found out who the other characters in the 7 were, and got our first hint toward the deeper roots of one of the best factions in Fortnite. So the Rift Gun returning is a very big deal that I don't want you to overlook. Additionally, I also talked about UFOs being set to appear, which is massive because that's our first real connection to the last reality since Chapter 3. Now, people have been wanting them to come back for ages, and this lines up perfectly with the old leak that said a fan favorite faction would return in Chapter 7, and if they're appearing in this event, there's probably a good chance that they may appear in Chapter 7 as well. A lot of people have also tied, the Spirit Realm to possibly being connected to the last reality and things like that, so we will just have to wait and see. Now, the event files also mention the reality tree assets, which might be used as maybe like a portal between realms. Maybe that's how we'll enter the Spirit Realm itself, but in my opinion, I think this could be a sign that we may be seeing the 0 point freed from the Spirit Realm or something like that. Maybe when we get the 0 shard back, we actually free part of, the 0 point, because the last time we saw this reality tree was when the 0 point was officially freed back in Chapter 3, so maybe that could happen. Maybe it won't. That's just my personal theory. Now, I talked a bit about the Rift Gun earlier, but it coming back also has a bit of a double meaning when you look below the surface. Now, it's been tied to both the Imagined Order and the 7. So if the gun plays a major role here, there's a good chance one or both of those factions could return. Jones, when he was originally using the Rift Gun back in Chapter 2, Season 5, he was a part of the Imagined Order and trying to get loopers to not escape from the loop by bringing in all of these people from different realities, which is why we had so many different collabs and kind of a random battle pass. But then when he finally went against the Imagined Order and started helping the 7 in Chapter 2, Season 6, he used the Rift Gun, like I said, threw it into the 0 point to call the Foundation to the island to help him with the 0 point becoming unstable. But if we are really going into the spirit realm like it's theorized that we will see in the event, it opens the door for something even crazier. Imagine seeing like a ghost or zombified versions of the 7 members that passed away. If you guys know, a lot of them were chromed in Chapter 3 Season 4. We saw that in the introduction to Chapter 3 Season 4, which was kind of whiplash for a lot of the community. I don't think a lot of us were really ready to separate from the 7, but that would be such a cool way to kind of close off their storylines, or maybe if we're able to revive them, kind of revive their storyline as well. Now, this whole setup also ties in perfectly with the Dark Presence. Since this is most likely us going into their territory for the first time, it makes sense for us to have to use all of this kind of different technology to actually get there, because as you guys know, it's been said in the story quest that the veil between this reality and the spirit realm is like thinning, but we're going to have to get there somehow. It's just we do not know how yet. But between the last reality possibly returning, the Rift Gun, and the Spirit Realm itself, this honestly feels like Fortnite is bringing every major storyline thread from the last few years together into one huge finale in Chapter 6, and it kind of makes me wonder, are we heading for an entire, storyline hard reset in Chapter 7? Who knows? There's even talks of maybe even there being multiple stages or phases to the event, so we could see something similar to past story events like we saw with Collision, where we kind of move around the map, interact with objects, and watch the big cinematic moments unfold right in front of our eyes. And because this is one of actually the biggest story-driven live events, it's about 500 megabytes, I believe, which sounds pretty small, but that's actually really big for Fortnite live events, especially story-driven ones, so hopefully we do see a lot of different angles and experiences throughout this event. Now, that's not it, you guys. Not only did we get a bunch of leaks about how this is going to tie into the Fortnite original storyline, there are still Simpsons references included, mainly as like side details or decorations, but not the main focus, which I think is a good thing. Now, we've learned that Bart's treehouse will serve as the pre-event or countdown location, which makes sense with the upcoming Simpsons mini-season, but I'm not sure how much of like sense that makes in terms of the context of where we're going. They could have definitely got that wrong. I mean, in terms of it being the pre-event or countdown location, I'm not really sure exactly how that's going to work. As you guys know, the top left of the map was changed a little bit to be the area where we go to see this event, or before we're transferred to another area. So I'm sure that Bart's treehouse may make some sense afterwards, but before, I'm not really sure how that's going to tie in. Now, we also know that Kang and Kodos, who are 2 aliens from the Simpsons franchise, we already know that they're in the game, and we're going to be able to get this glider for free by attending the event or doing something like that. But they're apparently also going to appear as battle bus decorations, flying by, kind of laughing and leaving the screen, which is a fun touch, but not intrusive, and it's not something that's going to happen every single match, just kind of a decoration. Now, guys, I cannot express how actually happy I am that during the event, the Simpsons content is more of an accessory instead of taking over the main storyline. Like I said in previous videos, I was kind of worried about the fact that the Simpsons may be overbearing on this and kind of take away from the lore or the Fortnite original storyline, and so far, it doesn't look like that's going to happen whatsoever based on these leaks. But hopefully, of course, like I've also said in previous videos, I hope that Fortnite still finds a way to tie the Simpsons universe into the lore, even if it's just a single line or a scene explaining how Springfield connects to the wider Fortnite universe. That would be absolutely awesome. Now, how exactly do I think this event is going to play out? Because as you know, this may just be part 1 of 2 to a big Fortnite storyline driven event, one that comes before and after the Simpsons mini-season. Now, this, of course, is just a theory, but I can easily see us, starting off in the pre-event stage, maybe in Bart's treehouse, watching the countdown and maybe interacting with like small map changes throughout the area. And then once it kicks off, I think maybe we'll use the Rift Gun to open a portal to the Spirit Realm or open the Veil or something like that. And from there, everything goes chaotic. Reality is breaking down. There's a bunch of the tentacle monsters everywhere. The sky is kind of changing colors, that kind of stuff. It reminds me of the Chapter 2 end event is what I'm thinking in my head. I hope we get something massive like that, because I don't think we've gotten an event that massive in quite a long time. Now, the UFOs could appear in the middle of the fight, or maybe a portal will open up in the sky just like we did before, and we'll see the giant motherships again, hinting that the last reality is still alive and active somewhere out there, and confirming that they're connected to the spirit realm. And of course, as you guys know, our goal is to extract the shard or fragment of the 0 point from the spirit realm, but maybe something is going to go wrong. Maybe we don't expect it to be this chaotic, and we fail the mission. That failure could lead to the Dark Presence punishing us, which could be what sends us into Springfield for the next mini-season. From that point on, I have no idea what will happen, but that's how I'm imagining this event will play out. Guys, I'm really glad that Fortnite seems to be going all out for this finale, especially on this map. I think it's safe to say that the last few maps really didn't get a proper send-off, so this one looks like it's going to close things out in a big way. Especially the Chapter 4 and 5 map, I really don't feel like they got very good send-offs or a really proper goodbye like they should have, because Chapter 4 was beautiful. It definitely should have gotten a goodbye. In Chapter 5, we just kind of left out of nowhere. But everything we've seen so far points leads to a full storyline wrap up for chapter 6, which is exactly what Fortnite needed to end this chapter strong. That being said, you guys, I don't think that this event is going to be the last time we see or hear of the Dark Presence. It makes more sense that we fail in our first attempt and then go back into the spirit realm after the Simpsons season to finish the fight, and then maybe when we free the 0-point shard, that's when we'll see the reality trees or something like that. But between the returning lore elements, the long development time, if you guys don't know, it's said that they took around 6 to 10 months to actually develop this event, which is insane. With how much effort is clearly going into this, I think this could easily be one of the best events that Fortnite has ever done. And if Epic really leans into this story and ties everything together, this could set up chapter 7 perfectly and get everyone back into the storyline side of Fortnite again. But overall, you guys, this event looks like everything story fans have been hoping for. The Rift Gun, the reality trees, UFOs, and the last reality all seem to be coming together. We're finally feeling like we're getting that classic Fortnite storyline energy back, and if they stick the landing, this could be one of the most exciting transitions that we've ever seen since chapter 2 to chapter 3, which will be very hard to top. Now, I'm gonna have full breakdowns as more files drop, and I'll continue to update you guys on what this could mean for the storyline, so make sure you're subbed with notifications on. If you guys haven't watched my last videos, check out the one on the community's reaction to the Simpsons leaks, and my other video talking about how this event sets up chapter 7, and how if the Simpsons season doesn't perform well, chapter 7 could be doomed. If you guys did enjoy today's video, please do drop a like. You watched all the way to the end. You must have enjoyed, so drop a like. Subscribe to the channel. I make videos like these every single day. Use code PROZEROYT, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.